The car behind me is a '68 Camaro. It's part of our Survivor series. Leading up to finding this car, I basically threw away 2 other Camaros and sent a 3rd back, just looking for a really nice, unmolested original car. So I came across this '68 Camaro at a Good Guys show, and it just had the look. You know, it had that grandma's old car, like it just came out of the garage, had some steel wheels on it with some hubcaps and original paint, you know, a few touch-ups here and there, but the car had the look. So we acquired it, and reason being was to find a Survivor type vehicle. So the Survivor series, it's kind of, it's a little bit of a newer type of build that we're doing, and that we're pushing a lot more and trying to kind of steer customers into it, because it's really the idea behind it is to build something that's very usable and enjoyable, kind of get away from the whole, you know, the show car type of build, and just build something that guys can just have some fun with. You know, that's what it's all about. Get out, use the car, and just enjoy it, drive it.
You don't have to do a lot of modifications, you know, to doll one up. It's a '68 Camaro. I mean, the cars were beautiful, iconic. Everybody wants to build one for a reason, so why screw with that? Just make all of the other things do what they're supposed to do. Make the brakes stop, you know, make the suspension and chassis ride, drive, perform, handle like it's supposed to. You know, make the clutch work like it's supposed to, make everything do like what the OEs are doing today, but have that vintage look. I mean, it's the best blend that you could ask for.
A lot of it's just about the character. When a car's got a certain patina, a certain color, I mean, generally they're off colors. I don't think you'd go into the Chevy dealership and really desire a pea green Camaro with black stripes on it, but it's got the look, it's timeless, it's just cool. Buying a Survivor car, I guess I kind of compare it to an old pair of blue jeans. And people spend a lot of money finding a nice pair of distressed blue jeans, but from the exterior, you know, that's the character that you can take a '68 Camaro. I mean, you can body work this car, you can sand and buff this car and put thousands of hours into it and paint it, you know, some modern metallic color. And for some builds, that's great. But I just think that the patina, the original look, it's irreplaceable. And when it comes to owning one of these vehicles, I've found the more time you spend on the fit and finish, detailing the paint, and the more beautiful and flawless you make that car, the less use that it tends to have. So you don't want to drive it down the interstate because you're worried sick that it's going to get a rock chip. So maybe you can see it in the video, maybe you can't, but as I turn around and look, I mean, there's chips and scratches, and each and every one of them adds a little bit of character to the car. So it's the kind of car you can hang out in the parking lot, lean up against it, sit on it, throw your stuff in the back, park it wherever you want to park it. That's the value in them. The value is in the ownership and the fun, because having a fancy car parked in your garage, I mean, some guys love that, and that's fine, but I want to get out and use it, and more people want to do that as well.
Got the car out there and did some track events.
It took a great deal of time and engineering to essentially keep the car very stock looking. Just some of the things to assess right out of the gate are lower fender's been patched, if the quarter's been patched, how's the panel alignment, things like that. So one of the first things that we did was to go back through the interior of the car and ergonomically make it better. It was neat because it was the first time I ever saw a split bench in a '68 Camaro, in a first-gen Camaro. So a set of Recaro seats were sourced for it. They're Recaro expert seats, which the ergonomics of them are fantastic. I mean, that's a seat that just makes you want to be in the car. You feel comfortable, drive the car anywhere, but a black leather seat doesn't really fit the bill for a green interior. So we took that beautiful leather seat and we sent it out to our local upholstery shop and had it recovered in the original green vinyl, just to kind of blend it in with the factory upholstery. He wanted all the things that are in your daily driver, so we added that to it. We added a center console to it. changed the stereo in it, just did a Bluetooth Rockford Fosgate. The steering wheel, again, from a performance standpoint and ergonomic standpoint, it's scaled down to 14.5 inches as opposed to the large original size wheel, but the factory center cap from the horn is adapted to it.
Just installed the new RTX gauge, which is a lot more retro inspired. Looks more like the stock gauges in their previous version. LED backlit, but it doesn't take away from the car. It doesn't look like you put gauges in it.
This car originally started off with just a set of 5-spoke, you know, pretty cookie cutter off the shelf wheels, and as it evolved and just got better and better and better, you know, we developed this wheel, which we've used on quite a few Survivor cars. That's a wheel that we call our OE1 wheel. So we went with a polished outer hoop and did sort of a satin cast center on it. What looks like a bone stock dog dish poverty cap type of cheap steel wheel is actually a high performance 3-piece billet aluminum wheel. We tend to play with tires on a lot of these Survivor cars, so it's shaving the sidewalls, adding red lines to them. As you can see, this one has a gold line, which just kind of fit with the theme of the car. This was just a straight 6-cylinder car. Now it's got a Texas Speed. It's an iron block LQ9 motor that it makes about 450 rear wheel horsepower, and just an outstanding driver, just enough horsepower to have some fun with, and just a super reliable motor package.
Besides the drivetrain, suspension, fuel system, obviously all your wearables and stuff, everything else is pretty much, you know, late 60s like it came from GM. Just get in it and do what you want to do.
This car was the start of our spec chassis lineup. So we scan it and use the digital model with all the factory unmolested pickup points to design our original spec chassis, which is what's underneath this car, and that's typically what goes underneath a lot of these Survivor cars as well. The Camaro, as most people know, it's a unibody car, so it has a front subframe and the rear sub rails are a part of the original vehicle. So what we set out to accomplish was, through scanning the bottom of this car, taking a brand new look at how we could integrate a complete frame from the front bumper to the rear bumper without making any modifications whatsoever to the bottom of the car. So the idea was, when you find an original Survivor type car, you really don't want to be cutting on that car. You want to leave it as true to form, as original as possible. So we engineered a very unique frame that packages underneath that car, wraps around the rear sub rails. You unbolt the front subframe and the front bolts into original mounting locations. You can go as small as a 15-inch wheel with an 11-inch brake, or go on up into 20s or whatever performance wheel you want. The neat thing about how usable this car is and how well sorted the car is that it's something anybody can jump in. And as long as you can drive a 6-speed manual transmission, anybody can jump in this car, tell them where the key is, and go. They're sorted, they're engineered, they're designed to be driven. That, to me, is what makes these cars so amazing. We're pushing the product, pushing the suspension to drive these cars. So that's our drive, essentially. That's our goal. Make vehicles as enjoyable to own and use as humanly possible.